Edison Motors in BC. They've got a YouTube channel. I highly recommend that you check them out. I'll put a link in the description if I can remember. I'm not very good at that sort of thing. But a quick search will get them. Edison. Their slogan is stealing from Tesla, or stealing Tesla's ideas, or something like that, because Edison stole the light bulb from Tesla and stole some of the electrical inventions from Tesla, Nikolai Tesla, by just basically they were both working on it. I think I believe they knew each other, and Edison was inspired by Tesla and got to the patent office first. So, but that's not how it's working here with Edison Motors. Now, Edison Motors is just making the joke about stealing from Tesla, stealing ideas from Tesla, because it was literally waiting too long for Tesla's electric truck to show up. They're like, I want an electric truck and it's not happening and I'm tired of waiting. And I guess there was already some experience with home electricity and solar electricity, on the side. They were primarily working in trucking and in the logging industry as drivers, young drivers. And you don't normally see people working in the blue collar industry turn around and start something this massive as they're starting a truck factory. I know they've only built one, but they got 8 orders in already. And it won't take long before they have to build a shop big enough to handle more than 8 at a time, before they start putting out trucks and hiring locals. And then they are a truck factory. And from the truck factory, who knows, if it's very successful, someone in a nearby area might start up a foundry to cast some of the parts they need to create stuff, and or using modern techniques with 3D printing, because you can now 3D print metal. You can make metal parts with 3D printing. So they are creating industry in a place that traditionally has been strictly resource based. So you go out there, you extract materials, and when you run out, back to hunter-gatherer for you, or commuting. But what he's done is he's now creating an industry that will outlive the resource industries. If the forestry gets overlogged, if mining gets overmined, if land rights get changed, if the rules change, and he's still building trucks that he's going to be able to ship out worldwide. I mean, where in the world wouldn't you be interested in hybrid diesel electric trucks? It just makes sense. So the thing I'm thinking is, one of the reasons that this will have happened is not directly in this case. Like he says, there wasn't a company putting it out soon enough. But then we know, in fact, that the Chinese already have had electric trucks on the road for a while now. They certainly have a ton of different types of electric cars. The technology is there. And when I was speaking with, and I'm sorry, I don't remember names well enough to be able to go, oh, that's his name, the founder of Edison Motors, he was expressing frustration about, along with everybody else, about a ban on Chinese electric, but that his motors, in fact, were purchased through China, which that's another example of an industry that could conceivably spring up locally, is somebody who specializes in making motors, because motors is a specialty. The electric winding, you've got to draw the copper, you've got to wind the copper, you've got a lot of intricate, delicate work going on in making an electric motor, with a lot of fine-tuned milling and machining. And so that's usually done not in-house, but created separately. And so now all of a sudden you've got all these different side industries that can pop up as a result of what? Actually, restrictions on imports, import restrictions, what you can and cannot bring into the country. And people who are blocked by these restrictions usually only use the adjective stupid to describe them. But when these restrictions are brought out, very often, if you read between the double speak and the political noise, you will see that what they're trying to say is, we think that putting restrictions on imports will improve national interests, national industry, national economic options. And what they mean is, we're hoping to drive local innovation through necessity through privation. And it is a fact that necessity is the mother of invention. Some of the most innovative people in the world are living in the third world countries where the least access to products and technologies is available, because they are forced. I mean, they have just enough access to technology to see the idea, to get the idea, and to see some of the science behind it, and then turn around and reapply that to the materials available to them. At which point, they are creating some amazing things, and they are getting help from outside as well. Yeah, that's part of. But ultimately, true growth comes from within, whether it's personal or social. You can't expect to impose your civilization on others successfully. It's far better to simply display it and make it available at will, so that people can, with dignity and choice, pick and choose what they want to adopt and how they want to adopt it, and then innovate new ways of doing it that suit them, their circumstances, their resources, their abilities, who they are, and what they value. And so by putting import restrictions, we're not as much saying, up yours, China, which I think we have way too many trade relationships with China to assume that Canada really actually at any point is ever going to say that to China, or that China will ever actually mean that to us. Well, we could do without each other. We are so deeply entrenched. It's not funny. And that's not about to go away. There's just too many financial connections and too many people with financial interests to allow us to disconnect or divorce China in trade relationships. So import restrictions are not going to stop that from happening, and they're not going to be a giant insult. They might be an excuse for some posturing on one side or the other for whatever their internal politics requires. And believe me, when people are posturing, it's more about what it's doing to their people than what it's doing to the people they're posturing at. So if you see the USA and China lining up their ships in the Bay of Taiwan, it's really more about a conversation with Taiwan and China and the conversation with the American people than it is between America and China, who have already worked it out in advance. And they know exactly what's going on and exactly how far they're going to take it and what the point is. It's all theater. I mean, they call it theater of war. They know it's theater. Politics is theater. Back to innovation. What could happen as a result, direct result of import restrictions, is a whole new industry that is healthier, stronger, and longer lasting. Now, I understand, don't get me wrong, the guy might just sell the patent and get on with his life. And that patent might move to India. Happens all the time. I get that. Or China, yeah. Unless there's import restrictions. Back to that. Now, this is where government comes in again. Do we want this industry? Do we want these jobs? Do we want to encourage this innovation and this development? Do we want to see this happen? Now, do we think that the environment can support it? Do we think that the infrastructure can support it? Is this an okay place for such an industry to build? Will the people there be able to build up the infrastructure to support it? All of those questions come out. But more importantly, the government, through what permits it allows, through what regulations it enforces and or develops and or removes, and through what grants and subsidies it decides to provide, because don't forget, the biggest welfare client in Canada is the corporate sector. Make no mistake about it. The corporate sector takes far and above more out of our economy than any other source of handout combined. All other sources of handout combined. If you took the entire socialism part of our country budget, I think, and balanced it against what capitalist part of our country is getting in grants and subsidies, I think you'd be shocked. So there's no reason that they cannot apply those to industries that are just getting started. They're happy enough to give it to General Motors. Why not Edison Motors? You know what I'm saying? And that's where we come in. We need to make a lot of noise. And we need to talk effectively. We need to not just talk on Coffee Row, but we need to pop into our MLA's office when he's having his open coffee time and inviting us to speak. We need to write letters, emails, whatever it is that we want to do. We need to post suggestions on our walls, wherever the heck we're putting up our opinions. We need to understand that we want government to support local industry. We need to figure out what that means to us. Does that mean we want government subsidizing? Is there a specific industry we want our MLA or member of parliament to promote? It doesn't have to be Edison Motors. Look around your neighborhood. Who's the up and coming business entrepreneur in your city or neighborhood who looks like what they're doing could have legs? Get them some subsidies, man. Get in there. Help them out. Give them some attention. You must build a strong, local, not only resource, but industry-based economy. Not just service-based and resource-based. Right now, we have a really strong service industry. That's hotels, tourism, that's stores and shops and retail. And we have a really high resource industry. That's your logging and your mining and your oil and whatnot, and your farming. But in the middle there, we ship all that stuff out and we import all that other stuff in, and we do very little in the middle. And we don't tend to support our local craftspeople well enough either. We often expect them to give us a discount because they're friends of ours. We often expect them to compete with the imported goods. And we often overlook the effort and quality that they're adding to their products as if the quality isn't important to us. So if you really, really want to be recession-proof, depression-proof, apocalypse-proof, you need a local industry who makes stuff you use and who imports stuff from your country to other countries because it's just that good. So, Edison Motors, keep going, man. Don't stop. And everybody else, get out there and help these people. Help your entrepreneurs. Don't go to the store that's buying from China. I don't care. Spend a little extra. It'll come back to you. You're investing. I know your budget's tight, so you're going to have one less Starbucks. Oops, look, they're not Canadian either. Just buy some coffee from Kicking Horse and make your own.